Most rescue dogs run from babies. This one wouldn't leave one alone. Demetria Olabisi was a NICU nurse at a teaching hospital. She had spent 15 years inside a unit where she had to read the smallest signs in the smallest patients. She did not consider herself a person who missed things. That was the problem. The dog was a 4-pound Chihuahua mix named Walnut, recently adopted, 11 weeks in the house. Walnut was afraid of almost everything. The doorbell, the dishwasher, the dryer. The one thing she was not afraid of was Demetria's 12-week-old son, Tobiah. From the day they brought him home, Walnut had appointed herself to him. She slept under his crib. She sat at the bottom of the changing pad. She did not lick him. She watched him. On a Friday afternoon, Tobiah had a small red mark on the back of his left calf. Demetria had noticed it the day before, a faint scratch maybe from the cat next door, maybe from his own thumbnail in the night. She had thought about it for 10 seconds and then forgotten about it. Walnut began licking his left calf. She licked it once on Friday evening, twice on Saturday morning, 8 times by Saturday afternoon. Demetria moved Walnut to the laundry room. The dog scratched the door, low and steady, for 40 minutes. She let her out. Walnut ran directly to the bassinet and pressed her tiny head against Tobiah's left calf. Demetria did not say anything for a moment. Then she said, "She's getting fixated. We need to think about whether she can stay. She's reading him like prey. NICU dogs don't do this kind of thing." She did not know why she had said NICU dogs as if that were a category that existed. By Saturday night, they had agreed to crate her in the basement for the weekend. Tobiah cried more than usual that night. Demetria thought it was overtiredness. She gave him a feeding, rocked him, put him down. The cry came back. She gave him another feeding. The cry came back. At 4:30 a.m. on Sunday, his cry changed. It was thinner. It was the cry of a baby with no fight left in him. She knew that cry. She had heard it across 100 NICU isolates. She picked him up. He was hot, not warm. Hot, her clinical brain came online before her parent. She took his temperature with the digital thermometer. The number was 103.6. She lifted his pajamas. The left calf was no longer red. It was angry. A diffuse pink had spread up to his knee. The skin was warm to the touch. A faint, dark line tracked up the inside of his thigh from the scratch. Cellulitis. Streaking. Possible sepsis. She drove to the ED at 6 minutes past 5 with her son in his car seat in the back and her hand on the gear shift and the dog still in the basement. If you stay for stories about what animals notice before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. The pediatric ED triage took one look at Tobiah and started him on IV antibiotics within 19 minutes. The blood culture would come back positive for staff 36 hours later. The attending was a man named Dr. Corbin Aldeguerri. He pulled Demetria aside in the family conference room around 7 a.m. "You caught this in the early sepsis window. Babies this small can decompensate inside 2 hours when the infection becomes systemic. You did the right thing. My dog noticed it. I didn't. Then your dog did your son a service. The skin temperature change at an infected site is detectable in canine olfaction at concentrations the human nose cannot register. That's documented. It's why scent-trained dogs work in oncology wards. What does your dog look like?" "Doesn't matter," he said. "Small dogs have the same nose proportional to their head as large dogs. Sometimes more receptors per square centimeter. Bring her up sometime. The pediatric team would like to meet her. Has your animal ever done something you couldn't explain until it was the only thing that did? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard." Tobiah was admitted to the pediatric floor for 4 days of IV antibiotics. The infection cleared. The leg returned to normal color. They went home on a Thursday afternoon. Walnut came up the stairs slowly. She did not look at Demetria. She walked past her into the living room and got into the bassinet beside the sleeping baby and pressed her tiny head against his left calf, the spot where the bandage was now, and stayed there. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who weighed 4 pounds and were called fixated. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Demetria sat down on the floor beside the bassinet. She thought about the licking, not aggression. The heat coming off infected tissue, detectable to a Chihuahua with 300 billion scent receptors, before any visible streaking, before any spike in temperature, before any clinical sign a 15-year NICU nurse would call a clinical sign. The scratching at the basement door. Not panic. A countdown. The 36 hours in the basement. The sound, she had told herself, was nothing. She did not move the dog. She watched her flank rise and fall against the baby's leg. She watched the baby breathe. She listened to the small repeating click of a Chihuahua's eyelids closing in the half-light. Tomorrow there's another one, about a German shepherd who refused to let a grandfather take a toddler to the basement workshop.